Now, Newcastle United's summer strategy in the market this year is obviously a bit unclear. So obviously, the likes of the PSR space to be cleared, and then balancing youth and experience. And then prioritising targets as well. And obviously, there are a number of names that Newcastle have been linked with, especially in January as well, and last summer as well. They might rekindle their interest, obviously back in the Champions League. So it's another huge window to get right. It's another window where, the Champions League season a couple of seasons ago, they maybe fell short because of squad depth. They didn't have enough players to carry them on and get that high league finish again, and return to the Champions League. Now, there's certainly a goal, and it's going to be to enjoy, completely enjoy again being in the elite level of European football. But then, can you retain it? Can you get back in there again? We saw the same with Aston Villa, and they fell short, and they'll be competing in the Europa Conference. So that is some drop next season. Can this be a chance for Newcastle to invest massively this summer? How do they go about it? How do they navigate with PSR and the likes of that, which obviously doesn't affect some of the other clubs in the league, but that's a whole other topic. Dan, our North East correspondent, Dan, just talk to us a bit about Newcastle's situation ahead of this summer window, where they go, their sort of strategies to navigate it, and how important is it that they do get the squad depth correct ahead of the new campaign.
Well, Charles, for Newcastle United, we've said for a long time that this is a crucial summer transfer window. Of course, they haven't really spent any money, brought anyone of significance in for the past three transfer windows combined, you could argue. Well, William Masula, £15 million roughly from Sheffield United last summer, and Lloyd Kelly on a free from Bournemouth. But of course, then Lloyd Kelly has now left the club as well permanently to Juventus. And of course, they lost Miguel Almiron back to Atlanta United in America. So Newcastle haven't strengthened for some time because of their PSR worries and issues. So certainly this summer, as we mentioned, will be a crucial summer just for increasing that depth. Because at times last season, after they'd gone on those such good runs of form, they'd then come crashing down to earth with quite a bump, and often quite a heavy loss every so often after they'd been on these runs. And that was probably down to the squad depth and the lack of rotation they'd had at times during those winning runs. Eventually the players just became tired and weary eventually after playing so much and putting so much into the wins and games that had come before. So strengthening the squad is really important because of course they've got the Champions League to come this season, so they're playing on four fronts if you count both domestic cups as well as the Premier League. And of course, the last time they were in the Champions League, they suffered terribly with injuries, so they need to make sure that this doesn't happen again this time round. Of course, the talk of the moment is João Pedro from Brighton, a £60 million move being mooted for the attacking midfielder or forward, however you want to categorise him. Certainly someone who, at least when you first view it, it would be someone who seemingly doesn't fit into Newcastle's current formation of 4-3-3, because you've got Alexander Isak and then you've got two wingers and then three more midfielders, whereas João Pedro is more of perhaps that versatile number 10. He can play on the wings, but he could sit more in behind the striker or go alongside the striker. So that could suggest a change in formation from Eddie Howe and his side, which, to be fair, it also could play into the rotational side, because Newcastle will perhaps need to change their formation and rotate depending on their opposition or what competition they're playing in. Because, of course, teams who play in a deep system and a deep formation against Newcastle to try and be containing and contain Newcastle, then Newcastle struggle with breaking that down often, and perhaps someone like João Pedro could be the key to unlocking those defences, whereas Newcastle might revert back to the old 4-4-3 when it comes to teams who are perhaps more willing to be a bit more open. And that's when the likes of Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest come into the picture as a right winger with a lot of pace down the right. Of course, Jacob Murphy did really well last season, but they need some depth, especially now that Miguel Almiron is no longer at the club, and you've got Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon, who are more predominantly left wingers. Yes, you could play on either side, but they both prefer to be on the left. The other, of course, look at centre-half, someone to go alongside Sven Botman after he's hopefully had a full pre-season. And then goalkeeper as well as important, with James Trafford still being mooted from Burnley as a potential competition for Nick Pope